Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us again for this installment of our Flex series here in, unbelievably, is January of 2022. Man, when you look back on 2021, and we'll talk a little bit about that today, it's amazing how fast that year went by. But like always, first and foremost, obviously, I know as we're sitting here today, we're still dealing with a lot of things around related to COVID, the newest variant and the spread of it. So, while I say thank you for taking the time out to join us today and get some, valuable information that will help you from some of our executive leaders today, I want to start by saying, hey, make sure you're following, protocols and being safe. Obviously, this thing is spreading fairly quickly, and just make sure you're taking care of yourself and your family, and hopefully this finds you and your loved ones safe and healthy, and that you had a great holiday season, right? So with that being said, right, it's 2022, we're full gear. Mortgage never sleeps, right? At the end of the day, you turn the calendar and here we go again. But we did want to reflect a little bit on 2021 and more focus on 2022 with this session today. And I'm really excited. We have a few of our executive leaders, specifically from a mortgage perspective here at Flagstar. And before I bring them on, I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of background and just introduce them. So one of the individuals that you're going to hear from today, Lee Smith, he's been he's an executive vice president of the company. He's been president of mortgage at Flagstar Bank since September of 20. He's held multiple roles. He was COO of the company prior to taking on the leadership role of president of mortgage. And under Lee's management, he oversees all things mortgage, right? So from our perspective, it's origination, it's operations, it's servicing, soup to nuts. It's everything associated with mortgage falls under Lee's management, right, and responsibility. And then our second panelist is our CEO, Sandro DiNello. Sandro's been with the company for, I think if I've got it right, since he was 15. It feels like when I look at his bio, I mean, he is basically, when you want to talk about a resource, all things Flagstar, Sandro's been with the bank for, ever. And he's, when I go through all the positions that he's held and responsibilities that he's been involved in, I mean, this man has touched every single part of the organization in some form or fashion. He either led, was involved in, helped start, and he continues to lead us as our CEO, through this pandemic and into some what we believe are going to be some really exciting times going forward. So with that being said, I'd love to bring both Lee and Sandro onto our stage.
Hey, John.
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Hey, thanks for joining us. I know we're in, I think Sandro's in Florida, so his weather's a little bit different. Lee's based in Michigan right now, so his weather's dramatically different than Sandro's. And I'm here.
Snow.
I know, right? I'm here in Northern Virginia. We got another 2 inches of snow, and I think 95 finally opened up out here after about 4 days of nobody being able to get around in Virginia. So, hey, guys, I appreciate you joining. Obviously, we've been doing these sessions now we started them February of last year. And I think we've provided some really good value-added content to our business partners other than, obviously, the production and manufacturing loans for them. And I was really excited you guys were willing to jump on because I think, the future is so bright for Flagstar and our TPO organization. And nobody understands that better from an executive perspective than you two do. And I thought it'd be good for our business partners to hear from you, just kind of a look back on what some challenges were in 2021 and how we supported that. And more importantly, focus kind of on the future. Because I think, like I said earlier, the future is really bright and what we're going to be able to do in TPO and provide for our business partners. So if you're good with that, I'd love to just get started and ask you guys a couple questions. Cool. So, hey, Lee, I'll just fire this one to you. As you look at 2021, what do you think were some of the biggest gains for Flagstar, specifically around TPO, if you look at it, from your perspective?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, John, and good afternoon, everybody. Well, 2021 was a great year. We originated almost 50 billion in mortgage volume, which was the second biggest year for Flagstar. So first of all, I want to thank all of our partners because it is a team effort. And so thank you for trusting us with your business. When I drive down sort of more specifically into some of the gains and the benefits I think we all experienced, despite that volume, we were able to keep our turn times very much in check. So we were constantly looking at capacity and making sure we had the right amount of capacity to hit our turn times, hit our SLAs. We're very focused on a great customer experience, number one. Number two, we reintroduced a lot of products in 21 that we had paused at the outset of COVID. As everybody knows, we, like a lot of other originators, took risk off. And so we started bringing those products back in 2021. And hopefully our partners saw that and were able to benefit from the broader product set that we were offering. We got sharper with our pricing in 21, particularly around our Ginnie Mae pricing. As everybody knows, the mortgage market, it certainly got a lot more competitive in 2021, and you've always got to be looking at your pricing, where you are versus the competition. And I think we did a very good job of managing our pricing so that we were competitive across all products, particularly Ginnie Mae. I think we were, at the beginning of the year, we were a little bit out, but I think by the end of the year, we're as competitive as anybody from a Ginnie Mae point of view. I think the other thing that we did that benefited our partners was we remained nimble. If you look at the FHFA, there were a lot of things changing over the last 2 years. Some as a result of COVID, some as a result of other issues. One of the things that the FHFA did earlier in the year is they put the 7% cap in place around investor properties or non-owner occupied properties. Because we're a bank and we have a balance sheet and we have a very robust RMBS program, we were able to step into that void and provide an outlet to our TPO partners as it related to those non-owner occupied products. So again, we were nimble, and because we're a bank, because we have a balance sheet, because we have an RMBS program, we were able to help in that regard. We continue to invest in technology. I think eClose is a great example of some of the things that we're doing to continue to improve the customer experience. We've continued to enhance our broker technology. And then the other thing that we've done in 2021 is we expanded our warehouse lending business to 10 billion in commitments. So at one point during 2021, we were the second largest warehouse lender in the country. And that is a huge benefit to our TPO customers, where we can help them fund their business, help them grow their business. That's something that Flagstar can help with. And we really did expand that warehouse lending business in 2021.
Yeah, Lee, I think you touched on a wide variety of advantages in working with Flagstar that our business partners were able to benefit from, right? The warehouse one, I think that was huge as you go back into 2020 and into 2021, right? The need for that capacity in the marketplace, we were there. We were there for our business partners, not only long-term commitment, from partners, but from newer entities that needed that resource. And oddly enough, as we joke around about the weather, the sun is coming out today and now it's shining on me. But yeah, I mean, I think warehouse was huge. I think some of the voids that you talk about that were forced into the marketplace that restricted the ability for our business partners to meet their clients where they needed to be met. For example, like you mentioned on investment properties, right? With some of the things that were done and how our RMBS program filled that void. And basically it was business as usual for our business partners that were approved with Flagstar. Lee, in that same vein, obviously, I think we've talked about some things in relation to where our partners benefited from the relationship, but just in general, from a market perspective, what did you see as, from your perspective, some of the greater challenges? I know the pandemic and some of the decisions that were made outside of Flagstar were challenging, but what would you say were some of the bigger ones that we faced?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just part of mortgage, right? And you've got to be nimble in mortgage. There were a lot of changing that were happening constantly. And as I said earlier, some were a result of the COVID pandemic and the CARES Act and things we were having to do real time as the FHA and the FHFA were putting new guidelines out there. But we were able to we are nimble and we were able to react quickly. We listen to our partners' needs. And I think the non-owner occupied product is a great example. When the FHFA put the cap in place, we were able to step into the void. And a lot of it is, it's great teamwork. We listen, we communicate, we're transparent, we're collaborative. We want to work with our partners and help our partners. And then hitting those turn times doesn't just happen. I mean, we have a lot of data, analytics, metrics behind the scenes to make sure that we have the right capacity in place to be able to hit those turn times and provide that great customer experience for our partners. Getting the products turned back on, it's a process. It doesn't just happen. There's a lot of internal teams that have to sign off on that. And so we were able to make that happen in a relatively seamless manner. It got very competitive last year from a pricing point of view, particularly in certain channels. I think the broker channel in particular, we were able to respond to that. We always want to be on the front foot, making sure we're doing everything we can to serve our partners. And so we're constantly watching where the pricing is, what the market is doing, and reacting to that. And then making sure we're investing in the right technology. We want to be on the front foot from a technology point of view. Everything we do with an eye on improving that customer experience for our partners and making it more efficient, more easier. And so we continue to invest a lot of dollars in improving our technology. And so I wouldn't describe them necessarily as challenges. That's just the evolution of the business. And mortgage, more than any other business in banking, moves incredibly quickly, and you have got to be on your toes constantly and staying one step ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, and you touched on something, Lee, that I think is extremely important, and we talk about it a lot with our business partners, is they drive a lot of our decisions, especially related to technology and our platform and how they interact with us from start to finish with the regards of they've taken their application, now they're trusting us with that. It's not just, it's the referral source, it's the borrower. And then we make a lot of our decisions around the enhancements and what we do with our technology based off of customer feedback. And we solicit that and we welcome it. So it's certainly something that I think has continued to evolve that manufacturing process to make it as efficient and streamlined as possible. I mean, we joke around, we try to get to the point where it's the least amount of clicks as possible to get a loan closed, right? And if we're doing our job and we're enhancing the system like we've been doing, our clients benefit from that.
That's exactly right. We're always trying to remove friction points. Exactly right, John.
That's right. So Sandro, let's flip it, right? Like we said earlier, right? 2021, there's no rest for the weary, right? The calendar clicks. It's January 3rd. We're in 2022, and we're off and running as an industry. Looking at 2022 from your perspective, right? Both from a mortgage perspective and then where we fit in, there's a lot that is going to be taking place. Obviously, we're the industry in itself and the volume opportunity that's out there. There's a merger and what that could look like. So from your vision, sitting where you're at as the CEO, what's kind of your thoughts as far as 2022, where we fit in and what that's going to look like for our business partners?
Yeah, I don't think it changes a lot, John. As you noted, I've been here a long time, over 42 years, and so I've seen a lot of different things, and seen the company grow from a very small organization to a very big and powerful organization. But there's one thing that's consistent over 42 years, regardless of what the economic circumstances are, and that's the consistency of our commitment to customers, whether it's a TPO, a bank customer, commercial customer, it doesn't matter. This business is made up of people. We don't build anything, we don't grow anything, we just provide service to people. So relationships really matter. And our consistency, I'm most proud of the consistency that we've provided over my 42 years of this organization. Customers know what they're going to get from us, and they're going to get it no matter what. If you go back to 2020, March 13th of 2020, I'll never forget it, when we all of a sudden went completely remote. And it was for mortgage, it became a very, very crazy time because interest rates were dropping, people were refinancing like crazy. We could have done a lot more business than we did, but we couldn't have provided the consistency in service that we did. And that's what we're always going to put first, because that's how you build a company. You build a company based on trust, and you can't have trust if you're not consistent with the service you provide. So whether it was in our origination business, or as you guys touched upon in your previous question, the warehouse business. I mean, what we did for many, many, many TPOs in warehouse, I hope you all remember what we did, because there were lots of companies whose lines were full and they needed somebody, and we were having loan committee meetings almost daily in order to get those lines approved and get that money to our partners so that they could close loans and they could make money. And we went through lots of hoops, let me tell you, and our people were working around the clock to do that. Just one example, but that's who we are. We've built this company based on service, relationships, consistency. And I really learned that firsthand. When I first became CEO, I was really on the banking side of the organization for 3 decades. And when I became CEO, one of the first things I wanted to do was really get out there and meet our TPO customers. And I went to, and Lee came with me on a number of those trips. We went out to every region of the country, and with our regional managers went and visited a handful of TPOs. And what I came away with was this feeling of pride, because all these TPOs were telling me how important Flagstar was to building their business. And many of them were brokers that became correspondents, right? And I mean, we were in the forefront of that 20 years ago, helping people get set up as brokers and then helping them become correspondents, giving them, warehouse lines. And that's just who we are, right? So we're always going to do things the right way. We're going to treat our customers the right way. We're going to treat our employees the right way. And do it very humbly. We're a humble organization.
Yeah, Sandro, you touched on so much there. To your point, you think about it, over 30 years committed to the TPO space. And there's a lot of people that are going to see this that have been going back to 2008 and prior, that realize that, look, there's not too many banks that stayed in full.
There's one.
Yeah, exactly.
We are the only one that for 30 years has stuck with broker, correspondent, and always, never, ever stopped making loans.
That's right.
And always did it competitively.
That's right.
So there's only one that's been there that whole time.
That's right. And I was going to drive you to that. I was setting it up, so I was hoping you would say that, because it's true, right? And I think that is a huge value proposition to what we bring to our business partners in the TPO space. It is not just about pricing or product. To your point, it is, people talk about giving service. That's one thing, right? Nobody says they give bad service, but proof is in the pudding. To your point, we could have done much more volume than what we did during that time. But the levels of SLAs and service and the experience for the business partner, the referral sources, and ultimately the homeowner would have been just not the Flagstar experience, right? So it was a conscious decision. And to your point, that's who we've been, right? This is a partnership. It's more than just a transaction. And to your point, back when you and Lee were going around and seeing clients, right? I came on board 2 years ago. And I've done the same thing, or at least I started to, until the pandemic hit, and then we kind of had shut the travel down. But they're long-term partnerships, and to your point, I think one of the biggest value props that we have is when you sign up with Flagstar, it's not just for that moment in time, right? You mentioned it. I could sign up as a broker, but over a 3-4 year period, evolve my business to the point where it is the right time to take that next step into being a correspondent lender. And guess what? You evolve with Flagstar. Matter of fact, not only do you evolve with Flagstar, but we're the ones that are helping guide you and walk you through what that transition looks like. We have constant conversations with people that are thinking about doing it. And then when we have the conversation with them, here's how you do a warehouse line, here's how you manage it, and go through the process of being a lender, they realize, hey, you know what, maybe it's not the right time now, but I'll keep that in my back pocket for the future. That's something that I think, is unique to our proposition and what we bring to the marketplace. And then you throw warehouse on there, servicing, everything associated with it. It's a well-rounded program, but it is truly a partnership when you work with Flagstar.
Yeah, one other great example of how we've, I think, uniquely helped our partners is, FHA government lending is tough, and a lot of TPOs over the years have chosen just not to do it, themselves, right? They choose not to get there. What do they call it? The eagle,
Yeah.
And we've got Angelo Ray going around the country, again, before the pandemic. But Angelo was going around the country having sessions with TPOs, helping them learn how to get their eagle so they could do that business directly themselves and so that they could make more money. I don't know anybody else that was out there doing that sort of thing.
That's right. That's right. And it's a great example, right? The subject matter and the expertise. One thing I think people don't realize about Flagstar, and look, you guys, when I gave your bios, there's obviously you have extreme tenure, but look at the size of like the sales force, right? From a TPO perspective, the average tenure of our sales force is 13 years. That's unheard of for, on average, an organization to have that type of tenure. Typically, you see some AEs that have been around for 15, 16, 20 years. But on average, it's 13 years. Then you go to somebody like Angelo, who's been here 20 plus years, right? The depth and the wealth of resources that we have at the organization that help support our business partners, it is somewhat unrivaled in the industry. That is for sure.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here. It's the tenure, the loyalty. That's why we refer to it as the Flagstar family, and that's how we feel with our partners as well. It's a deep relationship that has gone back years and years and years, and it doesn't get more valuable than that, and it doesn't get closer than that, and it's a big deal. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Lee, since you just kind of added some content to that, let me ask you this. As you look at 2022 going forward, what do you see as some of the, and Sandro, I'll ask this so you can chime in on this as well, kind of the roadmap necessarily of, obviously I think everybody sees the same thing, right? MBA, Fannie, Freddie, forecasts are what they are. At the end of the day, they're never 100% accurate. There's always a miss in there. But I think for the most part, I think alignment is that, we've already started to see it. Rates are going to go up. The overall market size will probably shrink because there'll be, less refinance transactions than the last couple of years. Purchase will become a priority. And I think there's some other things economic wise that could impact that plus or minus. But as you look at 2022, and Lee, I'll start with you. What do you think, are some of the things from a business perspective, that people should be focusing on, and then where do you see us from a standpoint of how we can help support that?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, you hit on it, John. You've got to look at the market first of all, and if you look at the latest numbers from Fannie, Freddie, the NBA, they're forecasting on average that 2022 will be a $3 trillion mortgage market. So even though it's coming off a $4 trillion plus market in 21, $3 trillion is still a healthy mortgage market, and everybody should feel good about that. Now, there is going to be a pivot to purchase, and of that $3 trillion, 2/3 of it will be purchase versus 1/3 refi. But generally, I think we should all feel pretty excited about the size of that market. The other thing for Flagstar, and we haven't touched on this yet, is we're very close to closing our merger with New York Community Bank. And so when we do that, Flagstar is going to go from being a $30 billion bank to a $90 billion bank. So the fact that we are increasing the size of our balance sheet threefold gives us a lot more dry powder. And let me talk about that. So first of all, we're going to be able to allocate, as a $90 billion bank, more capital to our held for investment portfolio, okay? Which means we can likely broaden our product set as we move through 22. As an example, we're looking at certain non-QM products. We're looking at being able to ramp up HELOCs to our TPO customers. We're looking at construction to perm. So things and products like that we can now hold on the balance sheet because we have a bigger balance sheet and more capital to allocate to held for investment is going to benefit all of our partners. The RMBS program that I talked about earlier, having a bigger balance sheet enables us to hold more inventory for that RMBS program. That's going to be an advantage for our TPO partners. And the recent announcement by the FHFA around high-bow and second home pricing, it looks as if there's going to be another void that people like us can step in and fill as a result of our balance sheet and RMBS program. So when that increased pricing goes into effect on April 1, I think we're going to be able to help our TPO customers who are big originators of high-bow and second homes. From having a bigger balance sheet enables us to hold more mortgage servicing rights. It also enables us to buy mortgage servicing rights. The reason I say that is our TPO customers should think of Flagstar as a solution. Whatever your need is, come and talk to us because we can help you, whether it's buying assets, not just loans, but MSRs, but we can also help you from a lending point of view. I've talked about warehouse lending, but we do MSR lending, we do servicing advance lending, we do EBO lending. So those are some of the other things that we can help with. The warehouse lending business, I mentioned we were at 10 billion in commitments. Because we're going to be a $90 billion balance sheet, that gives us the ability to further expand our warehouse lending business. So we can increase credit limits for any one name, and it allows us to go and lend to larger correspondents who we maybe couldn't lend to as a $30 billion balance sheet. So I think there's an opportunity to do more warehouse lending. There's geographical expansion with the New York Community Bank merger. New York Community Bank is big in New York, New Jersey, South Florida, Arizona, Cleveland. So as a result, you're going to see our brand a lot more in those geographies. We're there today more because of mortgage, not from a banking point of view. Now we're going to have a holistic relationship of mortgage and banking, particularly in those geographies. And then we're also going to have more capital to invest in technology as a $90 billion bank. That's only going to benefit all of our TPO partners as we continue to invest in the technology to make the process more seamless, more efficient, reduce the friction points, quicker and easier.
Yeah, great point. Sandro, anything from your perspective, whether it be just looking at mortgage for 2022, TPO specific, working with Flagstar, any thoughts you have?
Well, look, we'll continue to do everything that we've always done. If there's one thing certain about mortgage, it's that it's uncertain. And so no matter what the world brings us, Lee mentioned that the estimates are 3 trillion. The only thing I'll say about that is that means it's not going to be 3 trillion. It's always wrong, right? You have to be, Lee used the term nimble. You have to be nimble. You have to be able to support whatever it is out there. I'm concerned that you're going to see a lot of talk about layoffs in the industry this year, even though 3 trillion, if it was 3 trillion, is a fantastic market. You won't see that at Flagstar because the way we manage our business, the way we use third-party vendors, and the way we manage capacity, we can easily flex up and flex down depending on what goes on out there. So we'll be in a position to respond to whatever the market brings us this year. And with respect to the merger, I'll only emphasize, size does matter, and to give us this is a partner that we're going to be joining with that they didn't make one mortgage last year, not one. So it's not like we're something's going to change here with our mortgage business. You wouldn't want to partner with us if you didn't want the mortgage business and the servicing business. So this is just more firepower for us to be even more competitive than what we've been in the past. So I think 2022 for Flagstar is going to be another terrific year. I mean, we've been every year that Lee and I have been in these positions, we have been able to grow the company, to grow the earnings of the company, and to give our shareholders a return. And all of that matters. A lot of companies focus on market share. That's not our focus. Our focus is on being the best in service and being the best in bringing shareholder return. And I'm proud to say that, our stock price was up another 25+% in 2021, and that's the kind of thing we're used to doing here at Flagstar, and we're going to keep doing that no matter what the market brings us.
Yeah, Sandro, you touch on something, and I've kind of ingrained myself in it, and I'm proud of it, and I talk about it a lot, is when you do business with Flagstar, you know exactly what you get. And we are a publicly traded company. It is an open book from a financial perspective, have been for a very long time. So there's a strength and stability and confidence that comes with that. And to your point, especially the impact of what you're fearful of with layoffs has a downstream impact to the business partners and to the homeowner and everybody in between, right? Real estate agents, builders, you name it, everybody associated with the transaction. And I think the knee-jerk reaction from everybody is we're just going to shed. And to your point, because how we're structured, we have the ability to flex up and flex down depending on resources. That gives us a stability that we provide to our business partners through what could be an unstable situation as they're dealing with, where they send their business going forward. So it's a great point. Well, hey guys, I certainly appreciate you doing this. I would ask you kind of in closing, any, Lee, I'll start with you. Any closing thoughts you just want to share with anybody before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I think we've talked about a lot. I think 2022 is going to be very exciting. I want to thank all of our TPO partners for their trust in us and the partnership over the years. And we are going to continue to deliver the best service we absolutely can. We value the relationship more than you know. We're committed to the space, and we're going to continue to do as much as we can to make your lives and your business as easy as possible.
Sandro, how about you? Anything?
Yeah, sure. Echo all that. And as you mentioned at the top of the show, John, we're in the midst of this COVID thing, and it's not good. Right now, we got hundreds of thousands of people every day that are testing positive. So, we know that for us, the challenge, in order for us to keep doing what we're doing and provide the service that we're providing, we have to keep our people healthy. And so we are doing that. We're continuing to work largely in a remote environment, and to the extent we have people that are coming into our facilities, we have very, very strong protocols, and so that's important, because if you get into a situation where all of a sudden your people are sick and can't work, you can't provide the service. So it's a key element of what 22 is going to be for us, is making sure that we keep our people healthy. Number one, because it's the right thing to do. And number two, so that we can continue to provide the level of service that our partners need. And so, my pledge is to our company I send a video out to our company every week. Lee does the same thing. And every week I talk about COVID and what we're doing to make sure that we're keeping people healthy. And we're going to keep doing that. And so you can count on us to continue to provide the level of service that we always have and always will.
That's a great way to frame it, Sandro. Lee, Sandro, appreciate you taking time. I always thought it's important for our partners to hear from our leadership team from a standpoint of their thoughts around mortgage, TPO specifically, and what 2022 is going to look like. So I thought the timing of this, as it was January, was great. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedules to do it, and certainly can't say thank you enough. So thanks.
Thank you, John.
Thanks all everyone out there. Appreciate you tuning in. Bye, everyone.
Well, guys, hey, what I can tell you is, I know it was 30 some minutes, but a lot of, I think, valuable insight into not only Flagstar and how we've, partnered with our business partners all these years. Like you heard Sandro say, there's only really been one company from a bank perspective that has stayed in all the channels through all these cycles, and it is us. And certainly you got some good insight from Lee and Sandro in regards to kind of the merger, 2022, what you can expect from us. And you'll certainly hear more as there are some exciting things coming down the road here in the first quarter and second quarter from your account executives, from management, and we'll continue this partnership.